Work much better.
Yeah, and I feel like there is a universe where that could have worked, but against a team like Echo and against an M4 Grand Finals MVP like Benny Cutie is going to be so difficult. 7-0-3 in KDA. And again, Master Assassin, but Brave Smite actually. Benny Cutie, if I'm not mistaken, last season, he was one of the few marksmen that liked to use Brave Smite as the emblem. But his positioning and his entry, the timing of Ben Cutie going in was big for Echo. And we have to return to the point that I really want to push here, the drafting identity of Echo going for a Benedetta EXP lane built for damage and then a Claude gold lane. Those are two laners who you can leave on your own. That's why we're known to see Claudes be the ones to split push and then just eventually to just join and fight sometimes. The Benedetta, we know what a Benedetta brings to the table. Compare that to a carry in an X-Borg, wherein, yes, we saw in the previous game the X-Borg can make plays on its own, but Echo played in such a way that it wouldn't get to that point. And if it's not at that point, it means that you have two side lanes that are going to have to require help. To add to that, you have a rotational mid that is quite aggressive, great for pick-off type. You have a Guinevere and then a Nana. It means then the resources of Onic will be split. Where do we go? And again, that's the main question for Onic in this superstar laden lineup with the addition of King Kong, with the addition of Kelra, the quote-unquote super team going into this. How do you balance that? Drafting like this means it's difficult to balance. Echo, on the other hand, with the experience they have as world champions, again, having two side lanes free to do anything they want, means they have more room to be able to do other things around the map. You don't necessarily always have to go to the side. You can play more around the jungle, play more around river control, and Sanji on this Navaria greatly added to that help alongside his rotations with JP. The vision being provided by the Navaria, the damage Sanji was dealing before the fight even started, hurt. And that meant that Onic couldn't get into position at times. Remember, Escalera, Roam Guinevere, built to deal damage. If you take damage from a full-on Star Shatter, it's gonna hurt way more and actually force you to send yourself back compared to if you were a Guinevere that was built to tank damage, not deal it. JP, great wingman in this game with 9 total assists. Some of the plays that he just dished out here with the Arlot meshing out with the other members of Echo as well. And Sanji, the damage he dealt, stopping Onic before they could even get into position. Gentlemen, what do you guys think?
Echo, Express. Now, just going back on how that match went, it was a good way it was a good start for Benny to actually start the storm against Onic. But for this kind of team fight, Onic, this game went, Ranmar, on game number 2.
Now, Echo here, MVP, of course, Carl Teasy, and his X-Borg. Very controlled type of play style here, and throwing back to an older identity of X-Borg, but I guess it makes sense if this is his build path because he is the jungler, prioritizing immortality, going into War Axe, BFP, and then still just respecting the magic damage that could be dished out by the Selena and the Novaria. He went ahead and built the Athena shield. And one thing that I saw from Echo here is that when in the presence of Carl TZ and the X-Borg, it looked like they were playing around it really well, knowing that they have a very important skill that they can utilize to either get a quick win early or get a kill by near the end of a team fight, and they just really punish King Kong for it. Because Carl TZ, as a tanky type of jungler, he doesn't need to get vision for himself. He has JP to do that for him. Even Sanford's doing it for him. And again, difference in what we call the principles of the draft, of the composition of both teams. Onic required their jungler to get the vision. Echo has 2 other dudes getting vision. Carl TZ can just do whatever he needs to do to get the victory there for Echo. And Onic really just looked like it's very high risk, high reward to get a lineup such as this done. And the fact that he was unkilled in this game, Carl TZ, playing really well with his teammates. And again, he emphasized the one thing about Onic. Carl TZ mentioned, I think they're strong. They're really strong, but they just don't have the chemistry yet. Carl TZ, from being known as one of the best, if not the best assassin in the world, the best Lancelot in the world, he evolved his game into being someone dependable for Echo. Whatever you need of me, I will do. And he showed that in this game with Echo. Going back again to the lineup of Onic here, really, when you have that kind of Roman mid combo, it is going to be so much harder, especially if you're not landing your skill shots. If you don't snowball, get that early quick lead, it's not going to work out well for you. And it's going to be so much harder to climb back into the game. And that's what Onic felt. Even though they were getting the vision a little bit from the abilities of the Navarian, the Selena, the problem was King Kong was always put in a very dangerous position. Most deaths in the game, 0, 4, and 1. That's because he was sort of like the roamer of the team in terms of frontline getting vision. Sandbag, damage taken, highest as well. Most damage dealt on the side of Echo was even Carl Teasy, maximizing again what we talked about with the last Insanity, and of course the wingman, total assists 7 for Sanford, making the most out of his Arlot. That's been a theme so far today, gentlemen. I feel like of roams, XPs, and even junglers juggling the responsibility of who's gonna set and who's gonna vision.
That was an amazing analysis. Thank you so much, Renmore.
You make it sound like I changed your life.
I mean,
You did.
the meta
From the
changed
game.
before our eyes once again.
Yeah.
Right after the RS